Colin had a problem and a microphone to spare. Thomas took it up and so the podcast went to air. For weeks and months they trolled through every single DVD. They've unwrapped all the ones they can and now they're cellulose free. Now they're cellulose free.
Hello dear listener and welcome to the Deranged Cat Studios and to Cellulose Free. My name is Colin and with me as always is my fellow film watcher, compadre and son, Thomas.
Hi, hello.
I had to specifically mention that we are in the Deranged Cat Studios because the Deranged Cat is in.
Mm-hmm. Certainly is.
And he has a mouse tail in his mouth. So you may well hear the rambunctiousness of Deranged Cat. What have you been up to?
I went and voted.
No, I meant the Deranged Cat.
Oh, the Deranged Cat?
Yes. No, all right. I meant you.
Same old, same old.
Yes.
I went and voted early.
Yeah, what was your excuse for voting early? Because you need a reason for voting early.
They didn't ask.
Yes, I think in these COVID times they're pretty flexible as far as spreading out the voter turnout.
I don't know that they would ask even if it wasn't
I
COVID
don't know.
times.
The only time I have voted early for any election and not on polling day was when I was out of state. So, for a long period of time. And yes.
Mm-hmm.
So, I voted in Sydney for an election that I knew nothing about in Tasmania. That was fun. What would that have been? That would have been the 88 state election, I think. So there we go. Yes, so you've voted.
I have.
Where did you do that?
I went into Hobart. It's on Macquarie Street, up past DPIPWE.
Up past what?
DPIPWE, the Department of whatever.
Right.
And other things. I think environment is the last word.
Right. Was it actually in the AEC, or it was just in the...
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know where the AEC's Hobart office is.
Isn't this gripping stuff for our international audience?
Well, it wouldn't be the AEC anyway, because it's the TEC.
Ah, okay.
Yes.
It is the TEC. I have the TEC app on my phone.
And TEC are on Main Road as you head towards Glenorchy.
Oh. Which main road?
The one that goes towards Glenorchy, obviously.
Right. So it's actually in main road Glenorchy then.
It's in Moona.
Moona. Main road Moona. Yes, I was going to say, I was thinking, main road is in Moona, isn't it?
Which is some way away from Macquarie Street.
Yes. So you didn't go to the TEC, you went to the DPIPWE.
Well, it was near there.
Oh,
a little past that once you get off the bus.
Right, down an alley. And this shady character, you had to knock on the door and then the little sliding window opens up and says, "What do you want?" "I want to vote." "Okay, come in." This is, yes.
Gripping stuff.
Yes, so we have a state election coming up. The floor is strewn with how to vote pamphlets that Thomas completely failed to read because he's voted early.
How to vote pamphlets that, under Tasmanian electoral law, could not be handed out outside the polling place.
That's right, we are lucky in that respect.
Not a lot happened in baseball. Chorby Soul died, was resurrected, and died again on day one of play.
Right.
He'll probably be resurrected again.
What, it depends on how hard his supporters pray, does it? Or?
I should say they, not he.
Oh,
they.
Because
canonically, there is no gender in baseball, but then there's Fanon, and it's all very confusing.
Right.
Loocrates interrupted the seasonal reading, and assumptions were torn to shreds.
Thorthrax wielded his mighty sword and cut the blaze ball in half, causing confusion and delays.
No, that didn't happen.
You could have. I suspect our dear listener would be none the wiser.
Oh, and skateboards, as it turns out, are boards with the element skate.
Ah, right.
That's skateboard with a space in the middle.
Right. So like sandstone is stone with the element of sand.
Yes.
Skateboards are boards with the element of skate.
Yes.
Got you. Good. What have I been up to? Well, I had a wonderful experience today. I've had this weird globulous floater in my eye, in my left eye, that has been driving me absolutely crazy for the last 2 weeks. And I thought, look, it doesn't seem to be going away. I should go have it looked at. And so I went to an optometrist who, of course, when you're dealing with such things, they like your eye to be nice and open, iris-wise, so they stick wonderful drops into your eyes that stop your iris from closing, so it dilates the eyes. Have you ever had that?
I don't think I have, but that doesn't sound like it would be pleasant, because I know that the iris regulates the amount of light that is let into
it has
the
the
eye.
added bonus of reducing the amount of any movement as far as the lens squeezing effect. So as far as focusing on things close up, that all goes as well. So yes, and it lasts for a good half an hour. The appointment didn't last for that long, and so I thought, I'm going to walk home, and stepped out into the bright sunlight, and it was painful. I've certainly had these drops before, but I was foolish enough to think that, yes, I should still be able to walk home. And my glasses do have the tint in them that make them go dark. But nah, it was still not any. I was squinting with these dark glasses, and I thought, no, I'm catching a bus home. Interestingly enough, these drops, I was curious to know how on earth they discovered such a chemical that would cause your pupils to dilate. And it turns out that I wasn't the only one who has asked this question, and Scientific American have a wonderful answer. The upshot of it being that the modern dilating drops are just synthetic cousins of their ancestor atropine, an extract of Atropa belladonna, also known as deadly nightshade. Atropine is a notorious poison responsible for the famous quartet of signs that indicate someone has ingested the toxin. Red as a beet, dry as a bone, blind as a bat, and mad as a hatter.
And you had at least one of those.
Well, yes, so this was a synthetic version of it, but the belladonna, translating to pretty lady, refers either to the beauty of the flower, the beauty of the rival poisoned by atropine, or its use as a cosmetic. So this stuff was used as a cosmetic.
Right.
Okay. So one would only have to rub an eye after preparing this extract to discover its pupil dilating effects. Apparently, this was exploited, particularly in Italy, by women who wanted to adopt a doe-eyed appearance by creating large pupils. The sight of one's beloved with pupils enlarged had the desired effect of communicating arousal. So there we go. So yes, I had deadly nightshade drops stuck in my eyes, or at least synthetic ones, and yes, a most unpleasant experience. However, the upshot of it was, the reason you check these things out is that one of the causes of floaters in the eye can be a detached retina. And you don't want that.
No.
It's bad stuff. But no, it turns out that what I've got is a floater that is part of the vitreous gel. That look, he said that I'm going to have to live with it.
Ooh.
Yeah, but the brain might... the brain's pretty tricky as far as this type of stuff is concerned, and can grow to completely ignore it. Or it'll possibly disappear in about 6 months, maybe.
Right.
So, Yeah, it's a monstrous thing too. It looks like I've got this curly worm in my eyeball. Great fun. But no, I do not appear to have a detached retina, which is a plus, because my concern for being able to see would be greater than having this thing floating in my eyesight. Anyway, speaking of seeing, we have a film to see.
We do.
Yes. What are we watching today?
We are watching the Wes Anderson film Moonrise Kingdom.
And what's that all about?
It's a new movie.
Is it?
From 2012.
I thought it was older than that. My goodness. Huh. So it's not yet 10 years old. All right. Could you, apart from telling us that it's a new movie, which isn't, what's it all about?
It's directed by Wes Anderson. Oh dear. Set on an island off the coast of New England in the summer of 1965, Moonrise Kingdom tells the story of two 12-year-olds who fall in love, make a secret pact, and run away together into the wilderness. As various authorities try to hunt them down, a violent storm is brewing offshore, and the peaceful island community is turned upside down in every which way. Starring actors in roles.
Oh, cool. Yes, including Bill Murray. Let's see how he fares in this podcast and in this movie. Right. So, Thomas, would you be so kind as to open up the case, which is well and truly unsealed? I have seen it before, off this disc. You have not? Good.
My hands are full.
He's become non-responsive. I believe Thomas has not seen this film.
I've not, no.
Good, but he's about to. If he can cope with all of these instructions, such as opening the case.
No, my hands are full.
Putting down his iPad and closing it up so that he's fully immersed in the film. That's not going to happen, is it?
That's not going to work at all.
My goodness. If he could have a third screen, I think he'd do so. But he doesn't. So he'll have a second screen. He's going to put it into the machine. We're going to watch it, and we will catch you on the flip side.
Turn to side B.
Yeah, mongrel.
It's actually not the DPIPWE building anymore. It just has DPIPWE signs out the front. DPIPWE moved out to the wharf. For those wondering, the Department of Primary Industries, Parks, Water and Environment.
Yeah, now there's an interesting mix, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think there's a conflict of interests there. The joys of living with a conservative government at the moment.
The environment and forestry.
Yes. Are we going to watch this?
I assume so.
Please bring back the deranged cat. Return some semblance of order. Put the disc in. And we'll catch you on the flip side.
Turn to side B.
Oh, you mongrel again.
You shouldn't have said it again.
Oh, I shouldn't have said that.
Two white people.
What? On the couch. Two white people on the couch.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, good. So, what did you think?
Yeah, that worked.
It's solid, isn't it?
Yeah.
It is quintessentially a Wes Anderson film. Isn't it? I was thinking earlier, we've certainly had episodes where we've talked about French quirk, is what I call it. That is very much American quirk.
Yep.
And I don't know of anyone else who does it. And we had New Zealand quirk last week. So
and the week before.
And the week before. Wes Anderson through and through. Everything is just... it is never real.
Mm-hmm.
There is nothing that is real. No shot that is real. The direct speaking to camera breaks fourth walls. The house itself has walls that are broken left, right, and centre, and floors that are broken left, right, and centre.
And tables that are broken specifically in the centre.
That was superb. What did you think of the acting?
I thought it was pretty reasonable.
Yeah.
Child actors, you get good child actors and you get very bad child actors, and I don't think they were bad.
I think that within that Wes Anderson world, even the acting is not real. They're caricatures, but very, very toned down. Dare I suggest, just to put everyone on my bad side, or me on their bad side, was toned down so that they were at least at the level of Bill Murray's performance. Which works perfectly because Bill Murray in this was decent Bill Murray, I thought, which was helped by everyone being toned down, and everything was understated as far as the acting was concerned.
Not problematically dry to me in the way that Life Aquatic was.
Yep. Yes. I quite appreciated Bill Murray in this. The bouncing off that he had of certain characters like his wife and the policeman was level playing field bouncing off, I think.
Yeah. Musically, it's interesting.
Good. Good.
Because most of the score is either Benjamin Britten or Alexandre Desplat doing Benjamin Britten.
Yes. Yes, the score was exquisite, and again, very much an essential element to Wes Anderson's repertoire. It has to play a part right through to the end.
There is a reason that I shouted 2 white people.
Oh, okay.
Because we've just been through the last piece
yes.
of music.
Yes.
Which is a riff off of the Young Person's Guide to the Orchestra, but with many more instruments.
Yes. And I was most impressed that he also included Tubular Bells, because Tubular Bells also has a riff on that style of introducing each instrument. So it finishes, in our case, with 2 white men.
Yes.
Or 2 white people. Yes. Okay.
Later we'll bring back the ukulele.
Indeed. I was wondering whether you would jump up and down when the ukulele was introduced.
Well, it was sandwiched in between the electric guitar and the classical guitar. So.
It was. PG rating in Australia. There is moments of intimacy between the 2 characters who are supposedly 12 years old. Was that handled correctly or not?
There's a section on the Wikipedia page for this film under reception titled Controversy.
Oh, okay.
Which goes on for a couple of paragraphs. The usual people, Christian groups, etc.
Yeah.
It's. I think it was fine.
I think so too. It was again following on, and I keep on saying again. Why do I keep doing that? Again. Following the deadpan. I think deadpan is the correct. Everything was delivered understatedly, and the relationship between the boy and the girl was understated, even though it's suggesting that they were physically attracted to each other, and they had the kiss and they had the touching, and it was Again. And I did it again. Tell me to stop saying again.
Again?
Throw something at me. The interplay between the two was understated and toned down to show, yes, this is happening, but we're not overplaying it, I think. I'm glad that you looked at the Wikipedia page, because I was curious to know whether there was controversy in that.
One of the paragraphs is dedicated to that. The other is dedicated to the death of Snoopy.
Oh, okay. Spoiler. I do say spoiler because I really do hope that you somehow... It doesn't appear to be on any streaming service that I could locate, but if you can get your hands on this, I do suggest you do so. If only to train yourself up in the ways of scout leading.
For some value of leading.
Yeah. It is very much a fantasy world within Wes Anderson's fantasy world.
Everybody's in their right roles here, I think.
Yes. Yep.
Got
How long did it take for you to realise you were looking at Bruce Willis?
well, I knew that Bruce Willis was in this.
Oh, okay, right.
Because I read the back of
that's
the case.
right. The case did say who was in it, didn't it?
At length.
Yes.
Just a bit of hair. Just a bit of hair and those glasses. Those glasses are what really tips him out of being...
He was completely in disguise, and yet he was, in plain sight.
And Edward Norton as the Scoutmaster. Just...
Who would have picked? Yes. I mean, admittedly, the last time I think I watched Edward Norton was in Incredible Hulk, which is possibly an unfair comparison, but he nailed this role.
To speak about Incredible Hulk, it's not a bad film, it's just a bad MCU film.
Yeah. Yes.
That's really all I have to say on it.
Yeah, and that's a fair assessment. The Hulk, however, let's not go there. Let's...
Tilda
more
Swinton.
controversy.
Tilda Swinton as social services.
As social services. Yes.
The unnamed social services.
Put me back onto social services. Social services speaking. No child left behind. Oh no, that was...
No, I don't think it's really social services in the same way that social services was in Hunt for the Wilder People.
Wasn't it?
In Hunt for the Wilder People, there's more a sense of rising too far above one's station, and just a bit, just a touch of madness, just a touch of madness that isn't quite here with social services. Social services in this film is just a little evil, as opposed to just a little mad.
Yes, but did you note that there were things mentioned to her about another child that
just conflate the two
that were enough to suggest social services should be involved, but it just went completely over her head. She was completely focused on,
someone was stabbed.
That's not my problem. My problem is this other child. I'm social services. Why is that a problem for me?
And three times we get narration.
Yes.
Direct to camera narration. And it's just very good. It sets the scene perfectly.
Anybody else, if they'd tried that, it would have been uncomfortably out of place. but it established the world that you're about to be in. So even if you have not experienced a Wes Anderson film before, I thought that really got things in place as to, okay, this is quirky. Expect anything from here on in, and you get that. And I think it also prepares you for your typical Wes Anderson effects as well.
You know, you've got your clearly done on paper graphics.
Yep.
You've got the locked on shots.
Yep. You've got miniatures that are quite obviously miniatures. Explosions that are quite obviously telling the story, not trying to impress with spectacular brilliance.
Although it is still a little spectacular.
Yeah, everything was slightly spectacular, but understated. Water effects that were obviously water effects. But you felt immersed enough to feel that storm, for example. And
if I have to pick my favourite Wes Andersonism / joke, I think it has to be the camera rolling back through the table, which Bill Murray then closes behind.
It was self-knowing, completely self-knowing.
Why is this table open?
Anybody else would have had the camera on such a contraption that it would have gone over the top of the table. But no. Please, yes, do yourself a favour. Get yourself your hands on this. Be prepared to be made slightly uncomfortable in places, but not overly so. Be prepared to laugh. Be prepared to feel sorry for people. It's bizarre. Okay. Do you have anything else you wish to?
No. I think I'm good. Think I'm good. Yeah.
Good. Sorry, I just thought of one more thing that sprang to mind at the time. The play that was being put on during it.
Noah's Flood.
A
Benjamin Britten play, of course.
Yes. But staged in such a way that there is absolutely no way that this little township could have put on something so spectacularly staged.
And yet, still looking cheap.
Yeah. I don't know how he does it. I'm gushing again. All right. Well,
just the symbology of Noah's Flood as part of this film.
Well, as usual, things will come to mind after we've stopped recording, but there'll probably be spoilers. So, how about we just move on?
I don't know. Get in touch with us. You know where we are.
Yeah.
Check the show notes.
Yeah. That's right.
Speaking of, this... We may not have a next segment.
No, we probably won't, because no one's got in touch with us, and we waffled on at the beginning anyway, so...
Where are we at now?
We're at 32 minutes.
Ooh.
Yeah.
That's a good spot.
It is. It is a very good spot. So let's move on.
Pick a film for next week so we can go to bed.
It's your turn.
And we're at a bit of a crossroads, because
right,
we've reached the end of a chain, haven't we?
We have, except something sprang to mind that I thought was sort of segueing in, but I can't remember what it was. So, and it is your turn anyway. So, we'll get back to it, whatever it was. Anyway,
you'll think of it while you're editing.
Yes.
and stick it on some sort of note.
That's right. So it is your turn.
It is my turn. For record-keeping purposes, there's currently, in quotation marks, 90 films left on my list. Who knows how many of them should still be on that list, or
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. I
should
know
be
that
added to the list.
There are some on my list that possibly don't belong there. I think, and this makes things difficult because I think we have more success with a film that one of us hasn't seen.
Mm-hmm.
Where we hit films that both of us have seen, there's a different feel to it. So, but
we just need to pick films we have things to talk about in advance, don't we?
That's right. So, are you picking or are you randomly picking?
I don't have any ideas, so I'm going to be randomly selecting from what remains of my list.
Using the random select feature on the My Movies app. He's just given the iPad a shake. It has come up with a film that I do not know what it is. And he's choosing whether he's going to shake again.
It's going to give itself away immediately, so I'm not going to do the reading the description until you get it, because it says in the description.
Okay.
Almost immediately.
What have we got?
It stars Sean Connery and Alec Baldwin.
Oh, well, that sounds like The Hunt for Red October.
That's a good guess, and correct.
In my best Russian accent. Good.
It's one of those Jack Ryan films that always have different people in them.
It is indeed. It is indeed. And I'm quite happy to go there. I've seen it fairly recently, but
yes,
when I say fairly recently, within the last 2 or 3 years. But, good.
Yeah.
For those dear listeners that are unfamiliar with The Hunt for Red October, it stars Sean Connery and Alec Baldwin.
Directed by John McTiernan, notable for Die Hard and tricking Alan Rickman into falling off a building. Not such a great guy, John McTiernan, as far as directing actors goes.
Have I missed something here?
So the story goes
Okay.
that filming Die Hard, in which Alan Rickman, as the villain, ends up falling from quite some height
Right.
off the Nakatomi building.
Mm-hmm.
The story goes that he wasn't too hot on falling onto crash mats from quite some height, and so what John McTiernan did was he told him that he'd give him the count of 3. He did not. He did not give him the count of 3. He gave him maybe 2, maybe 1.
Right.
And then dropped him.
Okay, so he wasn't quite prepared for such things.
But the aim was to get a surprised Alan Rickman.
Yes.
And there was a surprised Alan Rickman. John McTiernan has made other questionable choices that I can't remember off the top of my head. But
Well, you're going to have to study up for next week.
But plot.
Yes.
Plot.
Throw us the plot.
A new, technologically superior Soviet nuclear sub, the Red October, is heading for the US coast under the command of Captain Marco Ramius, played by Connery. The American government thinks Ramius is planning to attack. A lone CIA analyst, played by Baldwin, has a different idea. He thinks Ramius is planning to defect, but he has only a few hours to find him and prove it, because the entire Russian naval and air commands are trying to find him too. The hunt is on.
Excellent.
That's next week.
That is next week. We hope that you can join us. But until then, we'll catch you next time.
Bye.
You have been listening to Cellulose Free. Your hosts were Colin, who produces and edits the show, and Thomas, who makes the artwork and music. Cellulose Free is recorded in the Deranged Cat Studios in scenic Tasmania, Australia. We keep track of our extensive physical media collection through My Movies, which we highly recommend. You can find links to that, as well as other places you can find us, in the show notes. Cellulose Free is a Hi Hello production.
We did it again, didn't we? Hey, we'd finished talking.
Where was there to go?
There was nowhere to go after that amazing plot synopsis. The hunt is on.
We did all our talking about our expectations for the film before the plot synopsis. So where was there to go?
Yeah.
Wrote ourselves into a corner.
We did. But very craftily, I managed to rescue us by wrapping things up abruptly.
Mm-hmm. And then we waffled on for a bit more.
All right.